realize I'm gonna have to do a little warning.
We are all going to die.
And there's no way of getting out of it.
But take a step back. As they say, use your time wisely.
Now, I'm not going to divulge too much into this.
I realize I'm gonna have to do a little warning.
We are all going to die.
And there's no way of getting out of it.
But take a step back. As they say, use your time wisely.
Now, I'm not going to divulge too much into this. When it comes down to it,
The key is living in the moment.
I'd like to start my greenstone with a story about a 16-year-old that lost his way. He dropped out of school, started experimenting with and abusing a variety of substances. And was constantly on the wrong side of the law. He was in a downward spiral. He was neglecting his body, his mind, and worst of all, he was neglecting his family. He made a life for himself away from home, rarely seeing his loved ones. After months of neglect and abuse, his parents had had enough. They had to intervene. I'm telling you this story because 2 years ago, that 16-year-old was me. On the morning of February 26th, I woke up and was grabbed from my bed without warning. After a near escape, I was caught and locked in the backseat of my family's car with my big dad and my bigger uncle. For the next day and the next night, we drove until we reached a small town on the outskirts of Salt Lake City, Utah. Arriving in this town was the start of the rest of my life. We pulled into a small parking lot where there were several guys waiting for us. I had no idea what to expect. I just knew I was about to embark on a very hard, very long journey. I was brought into the office for processing. They took everything I had. And in return, I got a bag of clothes, a bag of food, a tarp, a pair of boots, and a thin mat to sleep on. These would be my earthly possessions for the next 13 weeks. I was at Outback, a wilderness therapeutic expedition program designed to use ecotherapy to help youth through a range of problems, from addiction and depression to anger issues and even post-traumatic stress disorder. Next, they drove me 80 miles into the middle of the desert. My journey had started, and there was no way of getting out of it. Ecotherapy follows three main principles to improve both mental and physical health. These principles include a healthy lifestyle, the power of choice, and a daily dose of nature. A healthy lifestyle leaves you fit, stress-free, and at a reduced risk of disease. Exercise, adequate sleep, and good nutrition are the foundation of a healthy lifestyle. The benefits of health or physical activity are hard to ignore, regardless of your age, gender, or physique. Daily physical activity can increase dopamine and serotonin levels in the brain, and in turn will make you feel happier and will reduce stress and anxiety. 5 days a week, we'd pack up camp, strap our belongings to a homemade backpack, and we'd hike between 2 and 8 miles through over 900 square miles of beautiful but treacherous terrain. Nature gave us a sense of clarity, allowing us to see the things in life that really matter. While on these hikes, the group was often silent, alone with their thoughts. Sometimes we'd joke around, play games just to pass the time. The typical day was exhausting, carrying 25 pounds on your back for as long as 5 hours. That's why we were allotted 10 hours of sleep every day time for sleeping. Sleep is food for the brain and is as important as the air we breathe. Lack of sleep, insomnia is perhaps one of the most under-recognized problems among U.S. teens. In 2004, a study involving interviews with 1,000 teens aged 13 to 16 established that 17% of the participants qualified for the clinical definition of insomnia. Lack of sleep can reduce your ability to learn, concentrate, and solve problems. This can negatively affect your education, prevent you from solving issues with family and friends. Everyone at Outback was there because they had problems, whether it be educational, social, or family. And lack of sleep can inhibit you from solving these problems. Even though I had no pillow and just a thin mat to sleep on, those were the best sleeps of my life. The second principle Outback follows is the power of choice. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. In our life, we have to make decisions every minute of every day. But how can you always make the right decision? Well, you can't. But at Outback, they use natural consequences and positive role models to help guide you to make the right decisions. Nature doesn't punish, nor does it reward. Consequences come as a result of your own actions. An example of a natural consequence is if you don't build a good shelter and it rains, you're going to get wet. That's your fault. You can't blame that on anyone else. It's a lesson learned through hands-on experience and is much more valuable than compliance with a rule set by an authoritarian figure. Natural consequences teach you to be self-reliant and to own up to your mistakes. Positive role models are crucial in life. Their behavior, example, and success can be emulated by others, especially youth. Outback's very meticulous when it comes to choosing employees. They try and find people that have been through similar issues as kids, right? And almost every single one of them has either faced depression or addiction as a youth, but they have the strength to overcome it. This inspires the students to follow in their footsteps. They lead by example rather than authority, striving to live by a core set of values to better themselves and those around them. The third principle at Outback is a daily dose of nature. For over 30,000 years, mankind has existed in nature. It's only in the past 4,000 that we started moving to cities. But in the past 100 years, the rate of urban development is astounding. A census done by the World Health Organization in 2010 found that more than 50% of the world's population lives in urban areas rather than rural areas. Researchers have established links between living in cities and having high stress and anxiety levels. This increases the likelihood of having a mental illness. A study done in 2007 by the University of Essex found that a daily dose of nature in the form of a walk can reduce depression in up to 71% of the participants. Modern medicine is just starting to realize the medical potential of nature and have actually started to prescribe it to treat a variety of illnesses from post-cancer fatigue to even high blood pressure. Although it's not proven that nature can cure, treat, or prevent any specific illness, a growing body of research is creating a hopeful picture for the effectiveness of ecotherapy. While in the desert, we are constantly immersed in nature, not once seeing modern technology. With an absence of technology and mind-altering substances, we are able to live life in the present rather than dwell on the past or stress about the future. In today's society, so many people are slaves to the clock, counting the days go by rather than making the days count. Before treatment, 75% of the students were abusing drugs and 21% had mental health diagnoses. After treatment, 88% of the students said their problems were better or completely gone. 6 months later, they did a follow-up study. They found that students still had showed significant reduction of substance abuse and showed significantly lower stress, depression, and anxiety levels. On week 11, my parents came out to the desert for the whole day. It was very emotional. The whole day, they were in the desert with me, seeing what I've learned and what I have done for the past 13 weeks. During this visit, I apologized for everything, and I mean everything. All the cards were on the table. It was a fresh start. After I left Outback, I was a completely different person, both mentally and physically. I transformed from a belligerent, gaunt, temperamental child into a healthy and empathetic young adult. In just 13 weeks, I grew 4 inches and gained close to 30 pounds. But my physical change was nowhere near as drastic as my mental transformation. Before Outback, my mind was constantly blurred by substances, and I was almost always angry. I wasn't able to think on a deeper level or have an insightful conversation. But as the haze lifted, I was able to repair my family life, and I started to have aspirations to graduate and to actually do something with my life. The desert saved me. I encourage you to take some time once a day, get up from behind those screens, go out into nature and see what it can do for you. I'd like to dedicate this green stone to my parents and my siblings, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be standing here today.